Okay, so today's sermon teaching for me has been a reflection of God's provision and protection in my life. And um, I think while I was preparing for this, only did I realize the extent of it when I went back to incidents, because I'm going to just be sharing incidents from my life and how God was there protecting me, providing. And I don't think at those moments I ever acknowledge the extent of it, or sometimes it was just like, I didn't even acknowledge that there was protection here and that God protected me from these things. Okay, so uh, to start, Mama was a very scared mother when I was born. She was very afraid that something would happen to me. And God gave Mama and Dada Psalm 121, which is my psalm. So I just want to read Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over you. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. I think when I was small, I knew this psalm by heart because keep saying it and stuff. But only at this point, when I was looking for psalms and verses on protection, and when did I find this? I was like, Ma, she's like, yeah, this is your psalm. So it was quite this thing. So, yeah, to just start with a couple of stories of God's protection that really didn't hit me in the moment at all. I don't even think they know because it felt so small in the moment. But so Psalm 46, verse 1, God is our refuge and strength and ever present help in trouble. So I had two accidents in my life that could have been life ending, and I ended up being completely fine and nothing happened. One of them was in 2010. It was raining. I was with my friends and we were crossing. It was like a huge road and we were crossing from one side to the other. And we were in a hurry because we had to go somewhere. And cars are coming from here. And I'm looking over there because I'm trying to call a cab, go that way. And I just walked. And this mini tempo just hit the side of my face. And I fell down and everyone was in panic and this thing because my specs went flying. But nothing happened to me. So I don't even know whether I told them it happened because it was so small. But it was a tempo, it was like one step in front, dead. Or something like that. So that was one thing that it didn't even strike me that, this was God's protection, his hand over me and stuff. And the second one was so one night I was hanging out with some friends and one of the guys came in like a Scorpio or a Sumo. And we were just driving around town, hanging. It must have been 2, 3 o'clock in the night. And if any of you all know, when you're going towards Kalagoda, there's this really weird divider. So you have a divider over here and you have a divider over here. So a lot of people who don't know that road won't expect that first divider. And this guy was not from our area. So he goes straight and he's going pretty fast. And the car hits the divider and it goes like this. And I'm sitting in the middle. My friend is sitting on my left. And both of us can just see the road because the car is on two wheels. And my friend in front just screamed, brake! And this guy brakes and the car comes up. Nothing happened to anyone. All of us were completely fine. Sweat. So I don't know whether y'all knew that story. So those were those were oh, those are the only two accidents. Yeah. And to go on to some more shocking cases from them. Psalm 138:7. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve my life. You stretch out your hand against the anger of my foes. With your right hand, you save me. So I think my life was quite protected from my parents. I know through my school life, And then when I got out of schools, I just went off the rails. I was ready to try anything and everything, whether it was alcohol, weed, stuff like that. By 15, I had done LSD. By 17, I had done ecstasy and name the drug and probably will. But so one of the most amazing things was that through it all, and now because it's been something that I've been so interested in and I've done so much research about, I know the effects of it, what it can do to you spiritually, how it can harm you because you're opening your mind to evil spirits, to Satan. Um, but one of the biggest things that I realized was God protected me from addiction because at that time I thought it was all casual and for us it was like, oh yeah, we're in Goa so we'll do acid, or we're going partying over here one off so we'll do ecstasy and stuff. And I never got addicted to it, but I didn't not do it also, and to tell you all one incident that happened. So a lot of my friends went abroad to study and they come back for the summer. So that summertime and winter time used to be crazy because we'd be clubbing like 2-3 times a week and stuff. And so we had this 1 month phase where every weekend we'd go to the club and we'd all do ecstasy together. And you had to hide and do it, right? So in the club, we just like huddle and everybody would take it in their hand from the packet and you lick it quietly and you go on with this thing. So this one night, my friend puts it in my hand, and you're not really paying attention to amounts and all, in the middle of this thing. And I just licked it. And I knew it was a lot because I could taste it and stuff. And we go on partying, and then suddenly, like in this AC, this thing, I'm just sweating, and my head's all over the place and all. And I just leave. I just leave the club, and I don't know what's happening. I'm like, I'm just like fidgety, my whole body shaking and stuff. And I call a friend who was not there, and I was like, listen, can you come and pick me up? I don't know what's happening and all this. And he comes and he picks me up. He drives me. It's from Phoenix Mills. He drives me to Colaba. I've already called another friend saying, I don't know what's happening, this thing. And so both of them come and they're like, what's going on? 2 o'clock in the morning. I call them and I'm just like rambling and maybe shaking a bit and all. And these two are just with me. So we drive around. Finally, we go to my friend's terrace, and so the two of them are just sitting, and I'm just making phone calls, and I'm calling people and saying, "Oh, then I'm just like rambling to people at 4 o'clock in the morning." And I mean, the effect of what happened was nothing because I've read about people who've had life-altering moments by just doing like too much or even enough, because it's really the same. It can mess with your mind and it can have lifelong effects and all. And somehow through every drug trip, every this thing, whether I thought it was amazing, whether it went badly or something, God protected me. There was no harm done to my mind throughout. And I was able to come to a place where I realized myself that I didn't want to be doing these things. It didn't take like, hit rock bottom to do it. The same thing happened for me with smoking weed. I smoked weed every day. And it was a very social thing because I was chilling with my friends every day. And when I got into music, I still remember the night. There was one night when I was staying at a friend's place and we smoked and stuff and I was feeling all creative. So I put on my setup and I started making some music and I was like, oh wow, this thing. Next morning I wake up and I put it on and I was just like, what crap did I make? I just realized that all these artists say, oh, drugs and all are the best thing and all. It was like, again, God's protection that, that lifestyle shifted to the music lifestyle without that. And it actually became like, when I started talking to people and all, people were like, how do you not? And I was like, I cannot smoke and make music. It doesn't work for me. And people are so shocked because everyone's so used to hearing all these stories about, all the druggies making the best music and stuff like that. So God's protection with addiction. Also, I used to smoke. I smoked for 7 years straight. I really wanted to quit. And I went to America. And I was, the first day there, I was just walking with my uncle. And I was telling him, I really want to stop. trying to slow down her. And he was just like, just just throw the cigarettes. Don't try this thing. Just don't smoke. Uh, he's just like, throw the cigarettes. Don't smoke. And also we said fine. So we decided I had two cigarettes left. So we sat in the balcony that night and I smoked my two cigarettes and he smoked a cigar with me. And that was it. I even the biggest thing for me was what will happen if I smoke a cigarette again? Am I going to be one of those people who can't will just get back into it? So there was that always bothering me 1 month into it. So 1 month into it, I went and smoked a cigarette, and I realized that if I wanted to, I can, and that addiction had just gone. You know, so that is another this thing. Yeah, and so I think that shows a lot of protection from when I was small till now to be in this place. Uh, to move on to provision, I had to really cut this short because there are 10,000 stories of provision. But Philippians 4:19, and my God will supply all your needs according to his riches in glory. Okay? Provision has been something that my family and me have experienced in abundance like my whole life. And again, I don't it was only when I was doing this in reflection of so many stories from the past that I acknowledged the extent and the overflow of uh, provision that I had been blessed with. To start off small, you may have heard the story from Dada Gawa before, but basically at one point, I needed to go to the doctor and Mama needed to go to the dentist. And we had $400. The doctor was $400 and dentist was $200. So obviously Mama is like, no, obviously you have to take Vinay to this thing and all. And I think uh, apparently at that time we used to make decisions together. So they obviously saw the wisdom in me from such a small age. But Dada and me felt like Mama should go to the dentist. So I'm sure she was really upset and all. But she went and she goes to the dentist and she finishes her treatment. And the dentist is like free of charge. And so she gets her dentist stuff done and I get my stuff. When I'm thinking about the story with the next stories, I'm like 400 rupees. What is that in comparison in my mind? But it really took me doing the sermon to understand how mind blowing God's provision was for in my life. I decided at some point that I wanted to do music. It's not a cheap uh, profession to start off with, especially if you like the kind of stuff I like. And it's just been amazing how God has provided my setup for me, through other people, the people like Aman who's just given me speakers and synths. And I remember at one point, I was telling Dada that I want this new synth and all. And the minute he got this lump sum of money, he bought me the synth. And last year, a whole bunch of people contributed for another synth. But into all of this, having this elaborate setup, the most mind-blowing story about my music and provision was that I was I was staying in someone's house and my guitar was there and all my stuff was set up. And I was sitting in the balcony with my friends. This is in the evening. And we hear like a thud. But we don't get up because the maids are in the house and they're doing their thing and all. And after an hour or something, I go into my room and I see that my guitar is broken. Like just completely snapped. And I'm a lefty guitarist. So it's a real pain. You don't get lefty guitars here. This guitar also my uncle got me in 2010 when he came from America and all this. So I was like really, okay, what are we going to do now? And the guy whose house it was felt really distant. He was like, I'll buy you. I was like, are you crazy? You're not buying me a guitar. All that. And I just picked up the phone to call Mama and tell her, oh, this happened. So I call her and say, Ma, the lady was cleaning and she dropped my guitar and my guitar snapped. And Mama said, sounds so casual. She's like, oh, my uncle Sanju Kaka just called today and he asked whether Vinay wants a guitar or something when he's coming. And so 2 months later, I have a new, nicer, much better guitar. Yeah, obviously. Huh? Thank the maid. So for me, that was the craziest of these other things people giving me were amazing. But that just because usually if I tell Mama something, she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, now what?" And she was so casual. She's like, "Oh, Sanjay Kaka, just ask whether you'd like a guitar." And so that was my music this thing. I'm moving on to my trips in life. I've just had which trip I've come down to a few because I've had so many crazy holidays, and it's just God has provided through someone and in the moment. One of the things that stands out was one year when we went to Satal for camp. So we went to Satal for this camp, and I think I came back and I went to Bangalore for 3 days to watch Metallica play, and I came back and I went to Singapore for football tournament. In at these points of time, there was just no this thing of, oh my god, this is so expensive or anything. And now when I'm looking back, I was, oh my gosh, the amount of money that was spent. And like the biggest trip that I've done was, so my uncle, the same uncle, said, I want you to come to America. Why don't you come to America? I'll take care of it. You come spend some time here. So we planned this trip. He he's sponsoring my whole trip for 1.5 months, and he calls me and tells me, where all do you want to go, what all do you want to do. So for 3 months before my holiday, I'm looking through all the cities and saying, I want to see this artist, I want to go for this festival, I want to go for this festival, and I'm sending him Facebook listening, and he's buying me the tickets because he was just like, send me the ticket, tell me where you want to go and tell me this thing. And that was not enough for God. Everything was paid for, everything was sorted. Still, before I left for America, multiple people came and gave me dollars to take to America just like that. So it was just like every time, every time you think now in hindsight, every time it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. There's always one step further. Um, the other the other time I really saw God's provision for our family was when the twins had a exchange program and they had to go to the Netherlands, and so they had to sign up and stuff, and it was quite expensive. And I don't know, I was just like telling Mama, I was like, you have to just sign them up. This is a once in a lifetime experience. God will come through and stuff. Because to me, in my mind, it was like, you're not going to get this experience again. And that's exactly what happened. Mama went did this thing, and the boys got to do this trip to Netherlands. But what I wanted to tie this all in with is the importance of persistent prayer. And if you all know me, that does not apply to me at all because I barely pray. But there have been people in my life who have been praying persistently from when I was born till now. And so, two stories that really rounded this up for me was when I was really small, Dada used to take me to school on the bike. And I think every morning on the bike, he would sing Give Thanks while we were going to school, and even I'd sing. And so the words are, give thanks with the grateful heart, give thanks to the Holy One, give thanks because He's given, and let the weak say, I am strong, let the poor say, I am rich. Okay, so that was something that I was singing as a child, was being sung to me as a child. And the other one was, by the time all four of us were in school, every morning, Mama used to pray with us, okay? And she'd have this list of prayers of people who were going through something at that time. But every single morning, she would place a hedge of protection over us while we went to school. Every morning, until I left school at least. So, 11 years. And yeah, so that from that time onwards, there was prayer. There are other people who have just been praying and supporting me from that time, whatever it was, like even before the craziness started. The same people have been praying and praying, and I've just been like covered in prayer, and our family's just been covered in prayer for so long. And the two verses that really hit me when I found them were Psalm 40, verse 1. I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. 116, verse 2. Because he inclined his ear to me, therefore I will call on him as long as I live. And that is so apt for the people who were praying for me then, because I've seen them just continue doing it and doing it and doing it, and hopefully I can do it now that this realization has hit. But yes, so that was my thing, and to just tie it up with how, you know, I feel like that prayer and the persistent prayer was such a big aspect of, you know, such abundant provision and protection throughout my life. Thank you.